The Hustle Continues by Juicy J. If there's one thing that this album has taught me is that at 45 years old, Juicy J is still very, very fucking foul. Tennessee's most craziest fucking rapper in the world is back again to give us that really classic early 2000s trap music that put him on the map in the first place. Honestly, regardless of who you are, I think anyone is able to enjoy this man's music. You just can't not love, Juicy J. The man is a fucking legend, and you will forever want to know what the fuck is this man gonna do next. I was talking to my buddy Walter about this a few nights ago, and we both came to a conclusion that Juicy J, Wiz Khalifa, and Gucci Mane as well are very much alike. Everyone will forever love their old shit, and we will always forever want to hear what else new they're going to come out with next. All three other personalities outside of music is the same personality that you get in their music. They are some of the few rappers and just artists in general that have kept it real. They never really change and switch up. They still use the same signature style that they had been using. Even Gucci Mane, after being in jail for a long ass time, he came back and made some new projects, and he still gave off that same Gucci Mane vibe. I personally don't really fuck with Gucci Mane. I really do love Juicy J and Wiz Khalifa. Those are two artists that I will forever love, despite myself not really being a party animal or a stoner. But even though I may not like Gucci Mane, I do understand why people do love him, because he just really keeps it real, both in his music and outside of his music. He is just a really fun, and wacky personality in general that, you just can't not love, Gucci Mane or Wiz Khalifa and Juicy J. Say whatever you want about Juicy J. The man's in his mid 40s and he's still doing the same shit, and he really, really needs to grow up and retire, which I personally really hate hearing that phrase sometimes. I don't think an artist should retire at a specific age, because if they love what they're doing and if they are still very, very good at what they're doing, then why should they stop? Why not go for as long as they can until they can't anymore? I think that an artist should definitely keep on doing what they love, regardless of how old they get. Say whatever you want about Juicy J, but the man has proven, not only with this album but in the past 3 years or so, that he is still not only doing it better than most OGs trying to adapt in modern day times, and is doing a lot more better than the new young rappers who are trying to be the ones that like keep the hip-hop genre alive. And if I'm being honest with you all, Juicy J is one of the few remaining early 2000s rappers who is still going strong, which you can't really say that about that many of the people that were trying to make a come up during the early 2000s. That era was a very, very strange time in music. Not everybody really knew what they were doing. The internet and YouTube was very new to a lot of people, so obviously nobody knew how to go viral, or what to do if they went viral. It never really happened to anybody. So for somebody who isn't really so supposed to make it big and still stay relevant, Juicy J has done a very, very great job that continues to stay relevant and wanting people to hear his new shit. And I cannot explain to y'all how hyped up I was when I heard the opening track on this album. The opening track is entitled Best Group. That's Juicy J pretty much telling everybody, why the 3-6 Mafia group has always been, the best group in the rap game, at least one of. I just got really hyped up because I feel that Juicy J always has a really fantastic way of opening his albums to make us all excited for what he is going to do. What is he going to do next? And I was definitely excited to see what other crazy shit this man was about to do on this album. Juicy J's wacky personality and overall party animal attitude is back again, as he pretty much comes through to yet again make some pretty catchy trap bangers. I'm gonna be honest with you all, I don't really remember a time when Juicy J was ever a lyrical rapper. I always saw him as just this very hype artist, someone who would make some party anthem hits. So I definitely wasn't expecting the lyrical rage and the lyrical monster that I got from Juicy J on this album. You know, that to me was the biggest highlight on this album. You know, I really enjoyed hearing him, you know, just rap fast and, you know, just spit all these like great fucking metaphors, you know, just make a lot of great punchlines. You know, I think that this is one of the few times where Juicy J not only has been taking himself a bit more seriously, but he definitely has been trying to like improve and trying to like, you know, really experiment with his skills and see, you know, what he can provide to create a really great album. So yeah, you know, the lyrical Juicy J is somebody that I am definitely here for. It's been almost 3 years since Juicy J took a bit of a hiatus on making music. You know, he hasn't dropped an album since 2017's Rubber Band Business, I believe is what it was called. I actually really did enjoy that album, but I personally felt that there was like something missing there. You know, like it could be a lot more better, and I think it was a good choice for him to take almost a three years, like a 3 year break from music to try and perfect his craft a little bit more, because I think we can all tell that Juicy J's flow not only has improved, but his singing voice has definitely improved a lot as well. However, I will say that the guest list on this album was the main reason why I was excited for the album, because for the most part, not all the times, you know, Juicy J sometimes does collaborate with some pretty trash artists in my opinion, but for the most part, Juicy J's features are pretty dope in my opinion, and you know, they are truly the reason why you would want to hear a Juicy J album, because you know, he just really finds a way to work well with any kind of artist, you know, regardless if there are his, you know, longtime peers or just like new artists that he has never, you know, worked with before. You know, he just always like brings something new and unique to the table for us to experience. This album has Juicy J reuniting with a lot of his longtime peers. For example, Wiz Khalifa shows up on a track entitled Goddamn High, which I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, I don't think I really need to explain what that song is about and what Wiz Khalifa and Juicy J bring to the table. It is yet another great, like, catchy trap stoner song. You know, like I said, I'm not a stoner myself. I don't do drugs, you know, I don't drink and shit like that, but even I can find a way to enjoy, you know, a song like this. You know, it is classic Juicy J and Wiz Khalifa. You know, they definitely haven't changed at all. But besides that track, Project Pat also shows up on this album on a track entitled Memphis to LA. For those of you that don't know, Project Pat is a rapper who is a part of Juicy J's group 3 6 Mafia. You know, those two are just a really great duo together. You know, they just always have a way to make like a lot of like great hardcore bangers. You know, you know, both of them are super fucking lyrical. You know, they really know like how to like keep up with each other and how to like stay on beat. You know, so I definitely once again felt like a lot of like great nostalgia just hearing Juicy J and Project Pat on a song together again. But there are also a few unexpected features on here. For example, the biggest highlight for me at least was the track entitled Killa with none other than Conway the Machine himself. Which the reason why I felt was unexpected was because both Conway and Juicy J are dramatically different artists. You know, Conway, you know, mainly focuses on that, you know, boom bap style of rap. You know, he mostly like tries to adapt that golden age of hip hop that we all seem to forget and just try to adapt it to modern day times. And as for Juicy J, well, he just does this really like traditional like party animal like trap fucking vibe. So you know, both of them are very fucking different, and I didn't know how it was going to work out, but it turned out really fucking great. You know, the beat on that track is pretty much the kind of beat that Conway would use. You know, there's like really like hardcore boom bap style rap, you know, with a bit of jazz in it, and you know, it just turned out to be this really great hardcore anthem. You know, both Conway the Machine and Juicy J just, you know, spitballing bars, you know, with each other. You know, it just turned out to be this like really great and obscure like fucking song that I didn't think was ever going to happen, that I never would have imagined would happen, and it just turned out to be so fucking great. You know, once again, Juicy J taking something new that he doesn't really do that much and just giving it this like really great and unique, unexpected twist that we all end up loving. But my absolute favorite track on the album is the track entitled Loaded Up with NLE Choppa. You know, I actually haven't really heard much of his music. You know, I know who he is. You know, I've heard his name many, many times throughout all of 2020. You know, he's been on a fucking nonstop grind this whole year. Um, so I really didn't know what to expect because I've never heard him before. You know, this was actually my first time hearing anything NLE Choppa related, and I actually got super impressed. You know, it's this really great, you know, lyrical tag team match with Juicy J and NLE Choppa. You know, both of these dudes are really, really great rappers. You know, I already knew that Juicy J was a great rapper in general. You know, he is one of my favorite, like, sort of like OG rappers. But NLE Choppa, you know, for somebody that I've never heard of before, he actually left a really good impression on me. You know, I think this is gonna be the song that not only is going to blow this man up, but it's gonna make me want to like go give his other shit a try because he actually turned out to be like the like biggest highlight like to me on this song. You know, he is just really great. You know, he has really great metaphors. You know, he has a really nice and clean flow. You know, he doesn't mumble and shit like that. You know, you can hear what he says, you can understand it. You know, he just is this really, really like great like modern rapper that I didn't know what to like expect from. But you know, I'm honestly glad that it took Juicy J to introduce his music to me because he just turned out to be like a really great rapper on this album. However, not every feature was great, which for the most part that is to be expected when it comes to a Juicy J album because he does pretty much collaborate with almost everyone. You know, there isn't really a rule with who he can and cannot collaborate with. Juicy J does unfortunately make a habit to collaborate with some pretty trash artists like Little Baby and 2 Chainz. You know, they both show up on this album, which I guess to be fair, I will say that I didn't really mind 2 Chainz verse. You know, I was expecting a lot more worse, but he definitely, you know, improved a lot. You know, I think 2 Chainz probably was perfecting his craft a lot throughout like all these years as well. But as for Little Baby, he once again ruins the song for me with his really obnoxious auto-tuned voice. You know, I'm just over fucking Little Baby at this point. You know, he hasn't really been doing anything great this whole year, and I would just definitely would love to not hear him at all as the year ends. Like I would be okay if I don't hear from him anymore because he just isn't a good artist in my opinion, y'all. Sorry. However, there were 2 features on this album that turned out to be very disappointing to me, and that was the features with ASAP Rocky and Logic. ASAP Rocky shows up on the track entitled "Pull Up," which is supposed to be this like really like sentimental tribute to all the rappers that have died in the game. You know, that have died, you know, this year and have died throughout the years. You know, like I know they paid their respects to Mac Miller and ASAP Yams and Nipsey Hussle, which I was excited to see. But the reason why I didn't like this song is because of ASAP Rocky himself. You know, don't get it twisted. I think ASAP Rocky is an absolute legend. You know, I think he is one of the best modern rappers out there. You know, Long Live ASAP will forever be my favorite album by that man. You know, he really, really like created the perfect album in my opinion. But I just felt that in this song specifically, it was one of the weakest verses I've heard from ASAP. You know, I wasn't that really impressed with him, unfortunately. You know, he really did, he didn't really like contribute well to an artist like Juicy J, which I felt kind of sad about because I felt that for the most part, ASAP Rocky and Juicy J do like traditionally make like the same kind of music, like in their solo shit, if that makes sense. Same goes for Logic on the track entitled 1995. You know, I really did enjoy that this was supposed to be like a throwback, like, let me take y'all back, man, sort of song. But once again, Logic just kind of like ruined that song for me because he just made again one of the weakest verses I've heard from Logic in a while. You know, I do appreciate that Logic is a dad now and that, you know, he has a wife and a family. You know, I do appreciate that. But, you know, sometimes we don't really like to hear that dad rap. You know, I don't want to hear about, you know, like how you got to bite diapers and shit like that. You know, I just really didn't like, you know, Logic's dad rap throughout this whole like verse. You know, I felt that's what he was focusing a lot on this song. You know, it's the equivalent to why a lot of people had a big problem with The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. You know, yeah, it's really fun to see him like finally like grow up and mature. You know, he has 2 kids now, I believe, and he has a wife and everything. You know, it's really fun, and we're all happy for him. But at the same time, we don't want to hear a whole hour of you just sounding like a dad throughout the whole time. Luckily, Logic did redeem himself later on in the album, as he shows up on a second track on this album. It's called Shoddy Bad, which that is the classic like Bobby Tarantino slash Young Sinatra Logic that we all know and love. That's the Logic that we really want to hear. Regardless if you are married and have kids or not, we want you to like stick to the same formula and the same traditional style that has kept you relevant. Even though Logic sometimes can be a bit cringy and can be a bit annoying with this biracial bullshit, but it's songs like these that will truly like remind you, and myself and just anybody who loves hip-hop in general, of why Logic is still a very well respected rapper. However, despite the few tracks that I didn't like, despite the few flaws I have with the album, Juicy J once again is the main reason and the main attraction of why you would really enjoy this album. He has proven once again that he can do it better than most modern artists. Production value is great, a lot of great, like catchy trap beats. Like I said, Juicy J is very lyrical here. He does have a few hype songs as well, but for the most part he's super lyrical, which is the reason why I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one to all the diehard Juicy J fans, because it is once again classic Juicy J. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed my review, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that button down below, all that good stuff, and don't forget to stay happy.
Juicy J to go. My joint long as a rope. Well, mama roll it, lick it, light it. I want all the smoke. I don't want relations, baby. I just want a poke. No, all them niggas.